What's up, everyone? It's your boy Norn Radd 89 here, and I just finished VHS Halloween, one of my most anticipated for the rest of the year, and I was very excited for this one. In terms of the VHS franchise, this is a franchise that keeps calling back to me. It's like almost like the Saw thing, how like every spooky season they were just dropping a film. That's how it is with VHS now, and I'm always excited when these films come out, and in terms of found footage, they are some of my favorites. So today we are going to discuss VHS Halloween, which is currently streaming on Shudder. So let's do it. Roll it. So VHS Halloween is the latest film in the VHS franchise. This is, in terms of found footage, one of my favorites. I believe when I did my top 10 found footage films a couple years ago, I had two of the films in my top 10. And this film, did it meet my expectations? Did it live up to the hype? I'm going to tell you right now, I really love this film. In terms of stories and just through line and the way it flows, VHS Halloween might be one of my favorites. It is easily in the top 2 right now. I have another VHS film clear cut above it because that one's been my favorite for quite a while, but I want to say VHS Halloween is right there, right under it at number 2. This one has some really cool stories, and the fact that it's dripping with Halloween atmosphere, that's a huge positive. That is something that I'm going to always call back to, because when it comes down to this season, this is my favorite time of the year. So if you're going to have a film that's dripping with commercialism and trick-or-treating and, costumes and kids, going around, running around the town trick-or-treating, that's right up my alley. Also, another positive I have for this film is the splatter gore. The gore is off the charts in this movie, and I love that when it's kind of body melt, kind of almost calling back to street trash, or some of those animes when you watch those Japanese animes and you see limbs get cut off and just blood comes pouring or gushing out of every hole. That is literally how this film is. So gore, right up my alley. And in terms of also the comedy, I'm a horror comedy guy, and there is some scary. There's 2 stories in here that I would say are strictly just scary, that are actual scary stories, and then the other ones are actual horror comedy. But the comedy for me lands on just about every level. So for me, I was laughing, having fun, enjoying the gore. So VHS Halloween, like I said, was just every story meeting my expectations. And it also has a cool wraparound story for me, which is always one of the most kind of controversial things when it comes to the VHS franchise is, do you like the wraparound story? They usually have mini movies, like said, inside the film, but there's also one film or one story that kind of gets introduced at the beginning. You see little bits of it throughout the movie, and then at the very end, you see the end of the story. So it's, like I said, a wraparound story is how they treat it. And for this one, I really enjoyed it because it focuses on commercialism, which is obviously a huge part of Halloween now when it comes to decorations, merchandise, t-shirts, all this stuff. Halloween is just growing and growing. The huge example of that is Spirit Halloween makes tons of money every year. So the fact that they focus on commercialism with their kind of wraparound story, I think is very key and fits the theme of VHS Halloween. I also love the fact that the VHS franchise always grabs young and up-and-coming directors. Sometimes they have, known faces like Scott Derrickson or Justin Long. He's an up-and-coming director, but he's a famous actor and stuff like that. He was one of the stories last year. He was a director, but this year they kind of honed in, getting some new, fresh faces and everything. And the VHS franchise, I always call back to it because it's the launching point for a lot of my favorite directors like Ty West, Dan Trachtenberg, Adam Wingard, who are some of the guys that are popping out some of the greatest new horror and sci-fi content we have right now, and they all got their start with the VHS franchise. So that's another reason why I just always come back to this franchise, is because it's great that they get a team of people, and all these creators and writers and directors, and they get a theme and they bring their films together and mash them up into one solo film and just release it during the spooky season. It just always has this nature to it that feels like this time of year now. I'm always going to remember these eras, or the last 2020s, or 2018s, as the VHS era of the spooky season, because in terms of found footage, I'm not the biggest fan, but this franchise has me hooked. I also need the ending song to this. VHS Halloween wraps up the credit song. The end credit song is just heavy rock, in your face, party, like, you know, something that just you get up off the chair and you want to start moshing in your living room. That's the kind of song that they have at the end, and I need that end credit song. So glowing recommendations and positives for VHS Halloween, as you just heard. In terms of negatives, I would have to search my soul to find negatives, because I literally had an absolute blast with this film, and it might be one of my favorites, or going to be easily on the top 10 of the year when it comes down to my top 10 favorite horror of the year. And in terms of negatives, maybe there's some characters that might have bothered me at some point or anything like that, but nothing really. Like, the flow of the stories was great. I don't want to spoil too much, but in terms of stories, like, my favorite, I had one where there was a guy who survived a Halloween party and there was a massacre. The cops go to interview him, and then they bring him back to the site of the massacre to kind of go through what happened and what ensues, and that one is really good. There's also one called Kid Print that gets very, very dark, and I like the VHS franchise because, like I said, they're able to go into the deep, dark recesses of the horror genre and just peek into the corner and show you all the grimy stuff. And Kid Print is one of those ones that, yeah, it's going to leave you with your skin crawling a little bit. So for me, yeah, like I said, negatives, I'd have to search my soul and really try to find negatives. This is one of those films that is going to be a often rewatch, especially during the spooky season for me. And in terms of a Radd rating for VHS Halloween, this bad boy is going to get a 9.5 out of 10. Like I said, this is just really a fantastic film for me. I'd have, like I said, negatives, I'd have to search and think about it heavy, and I really don't want to do that because I don't want to dissect this film that much, because in terms of how much I enjoyed it and what VHS the franchise has been doing for me lately, like, it, you know, I'm all here for it. I want more and more and more. Keep them coming, you know what I mean? I'm always going to be one of those horror fans that just, you know, keep these VHS films coming till the day I die. But please, also, these are just my thoughts and my opinions. Share yours down below. And this is streaming on Shudder. So if you want to watch it, go stream it on Shudder, and then shout out down below in the comments what are your feelings on VHS Halloween and the franchise. Also, like, share, subscribe. That greatly helps out the channel. I really appreciate it. But most importantly, y'all know what's up. Have a safe and happy day. Peace out.